Yo, what's poppin', fellas? It's your boy Tacho here, and we are back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. Okay, so we have the information for the next round of Hall of Forms. This was actually a part of the data mine that we got this month, but I like to talk about these Hall of Forms in a completely separate video, because I like to also give you guys some examples of what skills you may want to pick up on the units. So this is a very interesting round of Hall of Forms, because this is the first time where everyone is going to have access to a Forma Soul. They gave one out to everyone for free for the 4-year anniversary. So I think it's probably a good idea to hold on to that Forma Soul for the upcoming rounds. Now, what they've done here is they've actually gone back to the beginning. They were going in sequential order of when the game's released in terms of the Hall of Forms units. And we have returned all the way back to the first game. So it seems like they're just going to go in order all over again, and that's pretty good. We do have some other options that I would like to see as Forma units. But for this round, we are going to have the Bunny Trio for the White Wings, and we also have the Kid Minerva, one of the most fantastic free-to-play plus 10 projects, and I think it's really awesome that she is going to be a Forma Soul option here. If you want my honest opinion, I do actually think she's a better choice to use your free-to-play Forma Soul on than Bride Fiorm, because you can actually get the plus 10 on this Kid Minerva, and she has a whole bunch of good unique skills, like her A-slot passive and her weapon, and we really don't see that too often on these free-to-play units, so that's always a plus. Also, she is a melee-type flying unit, so the amount of insane skills you're going to be able to get on her in Hall of Forms is just completely out of control. And she is going to be a very good long-term investment choice if you want to pick her up. Whereas I feel like Bride Fiorm is not quite as good. Isolation has been getting progressively worse with all of the new ways we have to deal with it. And not only that, but she's a seasonal locked 5-star. So if you're trying to get the plus 10 on Bride Fiorm, it's going to be very difficult to do that. So just be aware of these things. You may still see some value in getting Isolation anyway, so maybe you want to use your free-to-play Forma Soul on her, or maybe you'd rather use it on the Kid Minerva for the possible plus 10 in the future with the Heroic Rails. It's completely up to you, but I'm just giving you guys my opinion on that. Okay, so if we go ahead and take a look at the Kid Minerva, you can already see, like, this is the reason why I think she is insane to get with the Forma Soul. The amount of good skills we can get on her are just completely ludicrous. Like, these melee flyers are so stacked when it comes to the B slot. You can go for Dive Bomb 3, which is going to combo insanely well with her weapon, with the -1 special trigger and allow her to easily ramp into Gale Force. We have Wyvern Flight if you want to inflict some debuffs on the foe's stats, and she does have good speed and good defense to make use of that. Or there's also Guard Bearing if you want some damage reduction. Then in the C slot, we also have Odd Tempest, another really good skill that people may not want to go for as fodder because you got to sacrifice Legendary Dimitri, and that guy is pretty insane himself. So not too many people are going to want to kill him off. But Odd Tempest on these flying units is just outrageous. Being able to move 3 spaces on odd number turns, especially on a unit like Kid Minerva, where you can have Dive Bomb and a -1 special trigger weapon. She is going to be one of the best Gale Force flyers in the game, and she's pretty much on par with both of the Tibarn units, so that's going to be really good. You could also go for a range skill or a joint drive skill. All of those are really good options for these flyers. Then for the A-slot passive, I think you want to go for something that raises attack and speed. Probably Swift Sparrow 3 or Attack and Speed Solo 4 over Attack and Speed Push 4, mainly because they work out a little better with Dive Bomb. The chip damage you take from the Push 4 is going to be detrimental. You could also go for Heavy Blade 4, which is going to help her deal some extra damage and just easily ramp into Gale Force if you want to run the Dive Bomb and Odd Tempest tactic. So that's also good. And you could try Distant Foil or Distant Counter as well. She does have pretty good defense, so if you want her to counterattack bow units or dagger units, she can definitely get the job done. But I wouldn't really worry too much about countering ranged magic or ranged opponents in general. We just got the Savior skills on the recent Valentine's banner. And if you have a decent unit with that save skill from Henriette, it pretty much devalues Distant Counter, because you don't have to worry about tanking magic or ranged or anything with your melee type units anymore. And then for the weapon, even though all of these axes are inheritable, they are still locked on Tempest Trial units, and you may have already foddered off your copies of them. So just to save some resources, it's still a good idea to pick up one of these axes. So I would say this Kid Minerva is definitely an amazing unit to go for with the Forma Soul, and of course, we've been begging for a good Grand Hero Battle or Tempest Trial Forma unit for a while now, and it is nice that they finally decided to give us one, especially after they gave us a free-to-play Forma Soul on the house. Alright, next up we've got the Bunny Palla, and she is a dagger flyer. So unfortunately, unlike the Kid Minerva, she's not going to have the craziest options for the B slot. The ranged flyers are a little bit shafted in that area. But I think this Bunny Palla is definitely in second place because she has a lot of utility for Aether Raids. She comes with Disarm Trap right out of the box, so you don't really have to worry about getting that on her. But the idea is pretty much the same as using air with Disarm Trap. She's going to be able to easily walk over a trap and then attack the foes for free, and then possibly get repositioned out of the way. And being a dagger unit, you can easily get stuff like Dusk Uchiha or Kitty Paddle or Caltrop Dagger that can deal effective damage on very common units that people run in Aether Raids. And once you get the one shot there, you can just hit and run, get out of the way, and then lead up to your super tank unit to possibly finish off the rest. Pulse Smoke is also a very good option for this strategy, because that way you can really nullify the effects of infantry pulse teams. But if you can't get Pulse Smoke, then Joint Drives or Rain Skills are also very good. In the B slot, you probably want to go for a Snag skill or a Double Chill skill, but Aerobatics and Flyer Formation are also still good options, so you don't have to run them in the Seal slot and you're free to run something else. And then once again for the A slot, you probably want to go for something that raises attack and speed. I would say probably attack and speed push 4 this time, because unlike Kid Minerva, she doesn't really care about taking the chip damage. But the attack and defense boosting skills could also be good. Like Sturdy Impact is going to raise her defense, and then her res is also pretty decent already. So most likely she'll be able to survive a counterattack. Or attack and defense unity, which really messes with debuffs in Aether Raids, and is going to easily allow you to get those one-shots with the effective damage weapons. So Palla's definitely not a bad utility option if you want to go for her, but being a seasonal lock 5-star, it's going to be very hard to actually get her to plus 10. So I do think Kid Minerva is a way better investment. Okay, next up we've got the Bunny S, and just like Palla, she's a ranged flyer, so that means we're starved for options in the B slot here. Just go for a Snag skill or a Double Chill or one of the Flyer mobility skills. And then in the C slot, you can go for a Rain or a Joint Drive once again. But I guess Ground Orders could be a decent option, or some of the other Flyer mobility skills. Maybe Guidance or Air Orders or something like that. But most of them are already Sacred Seals anyway, and we may end up getting a Ground Orders Sacred Seal at some point too. So just be aware of that. And then again in the A slot, you want to go for either Sturdy Impact or anything that raises attack and speed. Her defense isn't so great, but her res is kind of decent. And then her perf weapon also gives her a bunch of stat bonuses to everything. So Sturdy Impact would really help out her bulk and allow her to survive counter hits, or just focus on attack and speed if you want to try and finish off the foes in 2 shots. And her base attack is pretty good, so Heavy Blade 4 could also be a good option. And luckily for this Bunny S, she is a Blue Tome unit, so I feel like Blue Tomes right now probably have the best selection of inheritable weapons. Like, we got Flora Guide for the debuffs, and Flora Guide works out very well with the Rain skills. Gonna be a nice debuffing weapon for supporting allies or getting the debuffs for Est herself. And we also have Juicy Wave, which comes with the built-in Desperation. So just pick whichever one you like the best. And last but not least, we have the bunny Catria. And she is a blue tome unit just like her sister Est, but unlike her, she is a cavalry type unit. And luckily, the cavalry units aren't quite as shafted in terms of B slots as the other units. So we do have some better options you could go for here. And for the most part, the A slots are just going to be ones that raise attack and speed. Catria being a cavalry type, she can't get sturdy impact, so you're not going to be able to use that. And then finally, in the C slot, we have joint drive attack, or possibly pulse smoke or panic smoke. Anything that's going to help support your allies or debuff the foes is going to be a good option. So that pretty much covers us for all of the next upcoming Hall of Forms units. And once again, I do think Kid Minerva is going to be a fantastic unit to pick up with the free-to-play Forma Soul. If you manage to get all of the good skills on her, like Dive Bomb and Odd Tempest, it's basically like getting a free-to-play plus 10 version of the Pirate Tibarn. So that's pretty insane. Let me know what you guys think about this round of Hall of Forms, and if you plan to use your free-to-play Forma Soul on one of these options, or one of the units from the last round. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about that. But anyways, thanks so much for watching the video, and this is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, fellas, and I will catch y'all again on the flip side.